Table 12. Right next to the kitchen. I could hear the dishwasher every time the doors swung open. My sister's $300,000 wedding, and I was sitting with the coat rack. Meanwhile, my billionaire ex, Marcus, was at table 1, laughing, toasting, playing the gracious guest of honor. He didn't pay for a single napkin. I paid for the venue. $75,000. Wired 6 weeks ago. And Emma sat me next to the trash cans. Ever watch someone spend your money while pretending you don't exist? I had the contract in my purse, the wire transfer on my phone, and one name in my contacts that could end this whole party in under 60 seconds. I pulled out my phone, hovered my thumb over venue manager, and then I remembered exactly who really owned this place. Where are you watching from and what time is it there? Drop a comment, and if you think you know where this is going, hit that like button. You don't. Let me back up. 3 years with Marcus, private equity, old money, the kind of family that has a library wing. His mother once told me I had potential if I refined my presentation. I was wearing a sweater from Target. They never thought I was enough. When Marcus had to choose between me and a merger that would make his father proud, he picked the merger. I'm not bitter about that anymore, honestly, but I am very, very good at keeping records. After the breakup, I buried myself in my startup. Nights, weekends, a mentor who told me one thing over and over. Document everything. 18 months later, I sold the company. 8 figures. I celebrated alone in my apartment with leftover pizza and a Forbes feature I never framed. My sister Emma? She was busy. Busy chasing country club invites. Busy introducing me as the quiet one at family dinners. Busy building a life that looked perfect on Instagram. She always chose status over loyalty. I knew that. But she's still my sister. So when the wedding invitation arrived, heavy cardstock, looping calligraphy, no +1, I RSVP'd yes. I thought maybe this time would be different. I was wrong. 6 weeks before the wedding, Emma called. Hey, so we have a tiny problem. The venue, this gorgeous historic estate, was over budget. I need $75,000 to lock it in. Just a loan. I'll pay you back after the honeymoon. Family helps family, right? I didn't even hesitate. I wired the deposit that afternoon. $75,000. She sent me a voice note, crying, thanking me. You're saving my life. I love you so much. 2 weeks later, another call. So Marcus is going to be there. At the wedding. I went quiet. It's fine, Emma, I'm an adult. I know, let's keep things low profile, okay? Don't make it awkward. Don't make it awkward. As if I was the problem. The morning of the wedding, she texted me. Assigned seating. Don't take it personally. The attachment loaded. Table 12. Next to the service entrance. Marcus, table 1. With her new in-laws. With the people who mattered. I stared at that seating chart for 5 full minutes. Then I got dressed, did my makeup, and drove to the venue. I didn't say a word. The humiliation was surgical. I walked in. Found my table. Half the seats were empty. 2 elderly cousins I hadn't seen in a decade. A screaming toddler. A folding chair that wobbled. Marcus was at the head table, laughing, leaning back in his chair like he owned the room. Maybe he thought he did. The photographer floated past my table 3 times. Never once lifted her camera. During cocktail hour, a waiter tapped my shoulder. Excuse me, miss? Can you move? I need to get this cart through. He thought I was staff. I stood up. Stepped aside, smiled. Inside, I was disappearing. The maid of honor gave a speech. Thanked everyone who made this day possible. She named the florist. The planner. Marcus's father, who so generously supported this beautiful celebration. My name? Never mentioned? Not once. Marcus walked past me on his way to the bar. We made eye contact. He nodded, polite, distant, like I was a stranger. Maybe I should have just left. Let Emma have her perfect day. I was standing up to grab my purse when I saw something. The venue manager, talking to the wedding planner, holding a tablet. And I heard one word. Balance. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, found the wire transfer. $75,000. Sent 8 weeks ago. To Ashford Estate Holdings, LLC, event deposit, private. I stared at that name. Ashford Estate Holdings. And then I remembered. 8 months ago, my investment attorney pitched me a real estate partnership. Historic properties. Event venues. Stable income, low risk. I signed on as a limited partner. 40% equity. I'd honestly forgotten which properties were in the portfolio. I opened my files, scrolled to the operating agreement, and there it was. Ashford Estate Holdings, LLC. I owned 40% of this venue. Emma didn't just take my money. She was spending it in a building I partially owned. And she sat me by the kitchen. I looked up, scanned the room, the chandeliers I owned, the marble floors I owned, the garden where they'd said their vows, mine. 40% mine. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not anger, power. I wondered what else Emma hadn't told me. I was about to find out. Dinner service started. Marcus's father stood up to give a toast. To the bride and groom, and to the families who invested in this beautiful beginning. He raised his glass, smiled at Emma and the groom. The implication was clear. His family paid. I looked down at my wobbling chair and felt my jaw tighten. After the toast, Marcus found me by the bar. Hey, Emma said you're doing fine. Good for you. The condescension was so casual it almost sounded kind. He had no idea. Yeah, I'm fine. Still doing the tech thing? Something like that. He nodded, ordered a drink, walked away. Before I could breathe, Emma appeared. She grabbed my elbow, smiled for the crowd, whispered through her teeth. Please don't make a scene. This day isn't about you. I pulled my arm back. I'm not making a scene, Emma. I'm just standing here. Good, keep it that way. She turned and glided back to her head table. I looked past her. The venue manager was still hovering near the planner. Stress all over his face. The bar tab was running. The after-party DJ was setting up. And nothing was paid. I checked the time. Cake cutting in 30 minutes. I walked toward the bridal suite. Emma's wedding planner was outside on the phone. The door was cracked. Inside on a chair, I saw it. Emma's planning binder. Wide open, I stepped inside. Flipped to the budget tab. And there it was. Line by line. Venue deposit, $75,000, labeled Loan L. My initial, florist, $12,000. Co-signed by Marcus's father's corporate card. Flagged Pending's Catering, $41,000, same card. Pending, a band, $18,000. Pending. They promised big. Delivered nothing. Emma had been covering the shortfalls with my money and riding the optics of their wealth. I turned the page. A group text. Printed out and tucked in the pocket. Emma to her bridesmaids. Keep Elle away from the family photos. Doesn't fit the aesthetic. I read it twice. Didn't fit the aesthetic. I closed the binder. Took a photo of the budget page with my phone. Then I walked out of the suite, past the planner, and headed straight for the coordinator's station. I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt clear. I knew exactly what I was going to do. And I knew Emma would never see it coming. I understood now. Emma wasn't just being cruel. She was drowning. The wedding had ballooned past $300,000. Maybe more. She'd overpromised to impress Marcus's circle. To prove she belonged. The groom's family had those country club connections. The legal firm partnerships. The visibility she'd always wanted. But they were all image. No substance. She needed my money to keep the illusion alive. But she couldn't let anyone know her poor little sister was the one keeping the lights on. I was the silent ATM. The budget binder had one more thing. A sticky note. Emma's handwriting. Ask Elle for another $20K after honeymoon? Not if, when. She'd already planned the next ask. I took a photo of that too. Then I saw the vendor email clipped to the back page. Subject line, final payment due tonight or services stop. Timestamp, 4 p.m., 3 hours ago. The bar, the DJ, the after-party sparklers, the send-off. None of it was paid for. Emma was betting the venue wouldn't pull the plug in the middle of her wedding. She was wrong. Because I wasn't going to let her bet with my money anymore. Now I knew exactly how much power I really had. And I was about to use all of it. I stepped into the hallway. The music was loud. Laughter echoed from the ballroom. I ignored all of it. I opened my contacts. Found the name I needed, David, my co-investor in Ashford Holdings. I typed one text. Recall the deposit credit applied to tonight's event. Move bar and after-party services to standard commercial rate. Invoice the client directly. Effective immediately. I read it twice. Then I hit send. 3 dots appeared. Then a reply. Confirmed. Coordinator has been notified. Are you on site? Yes. Understood. Let me know if you need anything else. I put my phone in my purse. Then I called my attorney. Left a voicemail. I need a formal loan repayment agreement drafted. Debtor is my sister. $75,000 plus fees. Payment plan or small claims? I'll send details in the morning. I hung up. I didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't slam a door. I just stood in the hallway for a moment and breathed. 2 texts. 1 voicemail. 3 minutes. That's all it took. I didn't go back to my table. I walked to the coordinator's booth and waited. I wanted to see her face when the bill came due. 20 minutes later, the bar closed. Mid-pour. The bartender set down the bottle and stepped back. Guests looked confused. Then the dessert service stopped. Waiters wheeled the carts back into the kitchen. The venue coordinator walked across the ballroom, tablet in hand, straight to Emma and the groom at the head table. I watched from the side of the room. She leaned down, spoke quietly, handed them the tablet. Emma's face went white. The groom took the tablet, scrolled, his mouth opened. I couldn't hear them, but I could read her lips. What is this? The coordinator gestured toward the back office. Professional. Calm. Emma stood up. Her hand was shaking. Marcus's father noticed. Walked over. Is there a problem? The groom handed him the tablet. He looked at the screen, frowned. This says $48,000 outstanding. There's been a deposit recall, the coordinator said. By the primary investor. Bar, after-party services, and send-off elements are now billed at standard commercial rate. Emma's eyes scanned the room. And then she found me. Standing near the exit. Arms crossed. Calm. Her face went from white to red. Marcus's father pulled out his wallet. Handed over a black card. The coordinator swiped it. Declined. She tried again. Declined. The groom stammered something. Pulled out his own card. The coordinator shook her head. We need payment tonight or services remain suspended. Guests were starting to stare. Emma walked toward me, fast. She got close. Whispered through clenched teeth. What did you do? I looked at her. Didn't blink. I stopped being invisible. You can't do this. Not here. Not now. I own 40% of this venue, Emma. I can do exactly this. Her mouth opened, closed. She had nothing. I turned and walked out the side door. Behind me, I heard her calling her bank. Marcus stood across the room watching. For the first time in 3 years, he actually saw me. I didn't look back. I got in my car and drove home. The cake was never cut. The wedding limped to a close. Guests started leaving when the bar didn't reopen. The after-party was canceled. The sparkler send-off never happened. Emma's new in-laws covered the $48,000 tab at 11 p.m., but the shine was gone. The next day, Emma sent one text. I'll pay you back. I didn't reply with anger. I didn't reply with spite. I replied with a PDF. My attorney had drafted a formal loan repayment agreement. $95,000 total. Original deposit plus the fees the venue charged for the recall, plus interest. 24-month payment plan. Signed and notarized. Or small claims court. Her choice. She signed it 2 days later. The payment started arriving the following month. On time, every month. We haven't spoken since. Not at Christmas. Not at our parents' anniversary dinner. She looks at her phone when I walk into a room. I'm fine with that. The marriage survived. Barely. I heard through cousins that the groom's family pulled back on the firm connections. Too much drama. Marcus sent me a LinkedIn request 3 months later. I declined it. Some doors don't need to reopen. I didn't donate Emma's repayment to charity like some poetic gesture. I reinvested it. I launched a nonprofit that funds women-led startups. Named it after my mentor. We've backed 11 founders so far. Last spring, I hosted our first annual summit. Guess where? Ashford Estate. Front entrance. Head table. My name on the program. I stood at that same venue in the same ballroom and I gave the keynote. I talked about boundaries, about documentation, about knowing your worth. Not one person asked me to move for a cart. I learned something that night at Emma's wedding. Silence isn't peace. Boundaries aren't cruelty. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is no more. So here's my question for you. Have you ever been erased by someone you helped? What did you do? Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one. And if this one hit home, subscribe. There's more where this came from. Hit the bell. You'll want to catch the next one. Oh, and one last thing. This story is a fictionalized dramatization for entertainment purposes. It is not legal or financial advice. But the lesson? That part's real. Know your power. And never let anyone seat you by the kitchen.